Welcome, the listeners of Yibane. Thank you so much for your constant participation and the other people on YouTube. I wish I didn't have to continue this topic, but now more than ever, we need to know how to cry out to Hashem, we have to understand the importance of doing this as a mitzvah. More than ever, you're not supposed to bring out bad news, but I think we have to understand that there's now been a number of soldiers who have died in this. And if you live in Israel here, you could think it's because we're a small country and we're mostly Jewish, etc. But a single death is devastating, and it is. Period. Okay. Let me give you a source that you must know. You know, the creator of the world could do anything, obviously, when he creates the world, and when he creates mankind, he could do it any way he wishes. Yet, he created a single human being, just one human being, maybe man and woman fused together, but one human being. Why? So the Talmud tells us why. Because it says, you have to realize, first of all, that the entire world was worth it for you, just one human being. That's how significant your actions are. The entire thing for just one human being. And that's why we should realize we are very empowered to impact what's taking place. Okay? There's another reason. The reason is it says someone who destroys a single person, who murders, right? I'm not talking about defense and things like that, but someone who murders a single person as if they destroyed the whole world. So we should be shaken. I've heard the count now is 11 soldiers have died. So it's super important we know what we can do spiritually, right? Besides all the support for those who are risking their lives and all the incredible efforts, we have to fight spiritually. It's super significant. So I came to a discovery that's shocking, scary, but also just lets us know what we need to do, okay? There is something that really bothered me is, the name Yishmael, right? Our enemy is a descendant from Yishmael. And I've heard a lot about the fact that with Yishmael, Hashem, if you will, listens to his prayers, okay? That Yishmael has a power of prayer. And this concept is taken so seriously that Rav Yeshua Leib Diskin, a great, giantly amazing rabbi in the 1900s, when there was Arabs here and Jews, if he saw an Arab praying, he would not go within the halachic distance of pressing for someone who's praying. So there's a reality to that. And as a Rav Yaakov Haber, I want to thank two rabbis for their insights, Rav Yaakov Haber Shlita and Rav Aubrey Hirsch. Their insights helped me have a little bit of a breakthrough of what we need to do and why things are scary, really scary in spiritual terms. Here's the point. Here's the issue too. We have to realize that Yishmael, Yaakov versus Esav, the Torah describes how Yaakov prepared for war against Esav, and it's famous. It's the voice of Yaakov versus the sword of Esav, right? And the voice is in Torah and Tefillah, okay? So we're not going against Esav right now, okay? There is fighting and physical fighting, but guess what it is? It's Yitzhak versus Yishmael. Were there problems there? Yes. Yishmael, okay, tried to murder Yitzhak. He shot arrows at him when he was a little kid. Okay. But really, what is the battle? It's a battle of tefillah. We have to realize that Yitzhak was born out of Hagar's crying out to Hashem, okay? Crying out in prayer. That's how Yitzhak was born. And then in this week's Parsha, and by the way, if anyone questions whether there's prophecy in the Torah, all you have to do is trace the beginning of this crisis with every Parsha. It's incredible, okay? There's Hamas mentioned on the week it happens, right? There's the birth of Yishmael. I'm not going to go into it. I taught one person who, a Jewish person who's not sort of, he almost fainted, okay? But side point. What do we learn in this week's Parsha? Yishmael was his mother couldn't take what was happening, and she abandoned him in the desert, and he almost died, but he was saved by his prayers. Okay, and I think his mother prayed for him too. So you see, Yishmael it's all about prayer. He was even named that way. Okay, so there's a reality there. But here's what drove me crazy, and I couldn't understand it. Who cares if he can pray? What is he praying for? He's praying for that which is an absolute abomination to Hashem. Hashem's going to listen to the sweet, innocent, righteous, good Jewish person. He's going to listen to the Arab's prayer that he die. How on earth could it matter that he has some koach of prayer? I hope you understand what was bothering me. Why does he have a? Well, I heard one big Talmud Chacham. He was asking, saying, he's maybe not even praying to Hashem. If he thinks Hashem approves of murder of innocent people, that's meshuga. How could that be? How could his prayer be meaningful? Okay. I'm sorry to tell you there's an answer. I wish there wasn't an answer. I really wish I was correct about this. To explain why that they have a koach of prayer, even if they're praying chas v'shalom for that, let's go to another Gemara that's shocking. The Gemara in Sanhedrin teaches that Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babel, who destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, Yimach Shemo. So Nebuchadnezzar, early in his career, he was a scribe, I think, for the king Hezekiah. And the Gemara says that Hezekiah dictated a letter to send to the king of Moab. It was an effort to make peace, which is the way we approach things if we can. And he said, he addressed it to the shalom to the king. Shalom always means peace, and it's a greeting. Shalom to the Melech of Moab. Shalom shalom to Hashem. It was like he mentioned Hashem's name. So they dispatched this letter with a courier, a runner, and they dispatched it to Melech of Moab. Nebuchadnezzar realizes there's been a mistake here. How could you put a human king, the king of Moab, how could you mention his name before Hashem? So he starts running to stop this. He's right. Guess what? The Gemara says, in the merit of his chasing after the honor of Hashem, he was given the ability to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. And listen to this. It's shocking. But had he been allowed to travel a few steps more, he would have had his ultimate wish, which was to get rid of the enemies of the Jews, to do a genocide. Now, of course, Hashem didn't want that, so he had the Malach, he had the angel Gabriel stop him in his tracks. But you have to ask yourself, is that not shocking? All right, give him a palace, give him a harem, give him lots of food. He was given the ability to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. How could that be? Okay. So first of all, we know that, and this part I'm not going to dwell on. We know that he was just basically, if Hashem feels the Jewish people need a shakeup, so it just he has to pick who's going to do the job. But so what one thing is, it was obviously something that Hashem felt necessary to shake up the Jews. But here's the other point. He did something virtuous. And there's a principle. Hashem is not mifakeach the schar of kol brios. What that means is that people make a cynical joke, but this is the correct way to understand it. No good deed goes unrewarded. Okay. One famous thing is the dogs didn't bark when we were leaving Egypt. The dogs the Torah awarded them a special merit to eat nevela, etc. But not only that, every single good deed that anyone does, Jewish, not even human, Hashem rewards because Hashem's just. Now, the thing is this, however, if a person is wicked in nature, they're going to get reward in this world and oy vavoy afterwards, okay? So here's what we have to understand and accept, okay? And this is so important for us as well. Why is Yishmael have such a power of prayer? Ready? Because he abhors the concept of idolatry and intermediaries, and he prays directly to Hashem, the one non-material God. Okay? So even though he's praying for evil, something that's detestable to Hashem, but he's doing a good deed to pray to the creator of the universe, it will be rewarded. It is rewarded in this world. So first of all, let me make a side point of encouragement. I want to thank all the non-Jews that have sent us messages that they're praying for us. You will be rewarded. Everyone is rewarded for praying to the true God, okay? But that's what we have to realize. They pray to the one God. That's powerful. So their prayer has strength no matter what the content is. So that's why we're in grave danger, okay? Besides the nature of the enemy in terms of being wild and willing to commit suicide. Okay, so how do we have to respond? Ready? This is so important. We need tefillah shlema. Allow me to bring you the following Gemara. I think I'm going to share this, parrots, okay? Is that it? Give me 1 second. I want everybody to see this Gemara directly to fully appreciate it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, parrots, we're good?
Yeah, that's good. Got it.
All right. So in the second paragraph, there's a thing about if there's a decree, an evil decree, if there's a decree, a harsh decree that's already been decided, can an individual revoke such a decree? So we're going to bring Rebbe Meir, who says yes, which is great news. But listen to this brisa that Rebbe Meir describes. I always found this fascinating. You'll understand with Kavanah Mitzvahs why I feel this is important. Okay, it says Tanya. We learn in a brisa, Rebbe Meir Omer, Shnayim sha'alu lamita, v'cholayin shaveh. There were two people that went onto their beds with the same sickness, and it was a terminal illness, and they were okay. So two people go onto a bed, meaning their own beds, their sick beds, and it's a terminal illness. V'chein, in another case, Shnayim sha'alu legardom lidon v'dinon shaveh. Two people were going for a capital offense, to be tried for a capital offense, and their situation was identical. You want to hear the results? So it says like this: Zer yarad, v'zer lo yarad. One of the sick people got out of the bed. The other did not get out of the bed. That was it for him. Zer nitzal, v'zer lo nitzal. One of the people that was up for execution was rescued. The other was not rescued. So obviously we would want to know what was the difference. So here we go. It says, Ze hispalel v'nene, v'ze hispalel v'lo nene. So this one prayed and he was answered. His prayer was answered. The other one prayed and his prayer was not answered. So the Gemara asks a question, or maybe this is actually, no, yeah, I think it's Gemara. So they say, why was it they both prayed? Why was one answered and one wasn't? In both cases, right? In the deathbed from sickness and the death sentence, one of them prayed and was both prayed. One was answered, one wasn't. In both cases, what was the difference? Ze hispalel tefila shlema. This one did a complete prayer. He was nene. He was answered. Ze lo hispalel tefila shlema. This one who didn't do a complete tefila, lo nene. So just first of all, a plug for Kavanah Mitzvahs. Let me just show you what Rashi says. Tefillah Shlema Nischaven. He had Kavanah. Okay. But Rabbi Fran asks, he's not alone. He's really bringing Rev Lopian. We have to understand something. If they both prayed, do you think one of them was like scrolling the internet while he was praying? Do you think he was distracted? Do you think he had sluggish kavanah? Their lives they know their lives are at stake, and yet one of them did a proper prayer and the other, what went wrong with the other guy? Your life is at stake. So listen to this answer. It's so important for us. Of Rev Eliyahu Lopian. He explains like this. He says, one guy's prayer was complete because he totally believed that Hashem could save him. The other one, he prayed, but he didn't have sufficient belief that Hashem could save him. Do you hear this? That was the difference. Okay? Now, this is our test, okay? Because Yishmael, they believe in God and they pray pretty darn seriously. So what about us, okay? They don't look at it, there's intermediaries. They think Allah is going to answer them. What about us? So, of course, we reject the idea of idolatry too, meaning we don't worship idols. But I won't go into details. Let me give you two examples, okay? I know one example. Rav Lopian says, all right, no offense to doctors, but let's say someone's child is, God forbid, really sick. And they know about the prayer of praying for the sick. Where are they more focused and riveted and depending? When they visit the doctor or when they speak to the Rofei Holy Israel, to the one who heals the Jews? Do you hear why we may have a problem with Tefillah Shlema, with an absolute, utter recognition that it totally depends on Hashem, right? Listen to this true story from the Kutzker Rebbe. His sister was, Rachmanis, was deathly ill. And she goes, Baruch Hashem, her brother's the Kutzker Rebbe. So she goes and she says, please daven for me, please. It's not looking good. He says, I can't help you at all. Just get out of here. And he closes the door on her. So he hears her on the other side and she's crying, He's saying, Hashem, even my brother won't, even my brother's not praying for me. Please help me, please. So he opens the door. He says, that's what you needed to do. Okay. You have to realize only Hashem can help you, right? Only God. Pray to him and recognize that you're totally in his hands. Ein od milvado. Okay. So we are working on crying out to Hashem in times of trouble. And I want to tell you there's two advantages we have over Yishmael, okay? Number one is when we, like I said, when you do a commandment, it's an act that releases Kedusha, okay? It's something that is otherworldly, right? And it's so powerful, right? So when you make sure that your recital of prayers and Tehillim and in the Shema, when you say, Hashem, I'm crying out to you because you command me. I'm praying, the Rambam holds this, I'm praying to you because you command. When you put a commandment, a mitzvah into that, that's something unparalleled, okay? Unparalleled. But now here's the next thing, okay? Yishmael may believe in the one and only God, right? Now, does Yishmael think deeply about this? He believes it, and it creates a merit in his prayer. But does he have a mitzvah deraisa of Shema Yisrael, of Yichud Hashem? Meaning, Yichud Hashem is to recognize there's only God. And Hashem is steering everything. Ein od milvado. There's nothing that is acting independent of Hashem, right? But if you do that as a commandment, he doesn't have that. He may be focused like that, but he doesn't have a commandment. So what I say to you when you pray, have in mind the mitzvah of Yichud Hashem. Ein od milvado. There's no one besides him that decides anything. Right? Add that to your tefillah, and that's what we're going to do now. That is a deadly offense we have. You hear this? This is what's going to depend it. So all of us, we laugh at worshiping the stars and the moons, but physical forces. You're right. We have to align our belief there, and if we do this, we have two mighty mitzvahs. We have the mitzvah to cry out to Hashem in times of trouble, and we have the mitzvah of Yichud Hashem, Ein od milvado, to believe because we're commanded to believe. Activate that. Have kavana that I am praying to the one and only God and recognize He has total decision-making power because you commanded me to. Right? And then really pray like that. Rav Chaim Shmulevitz says this too. When you pray every prayer of the Shemona Esrei with a Ein od milvado, Hashem will listen. Okay? What does it mean Hashem will listen? Hashem listens to everything. Hashem hears anything. Listening means he will fulfill the request. Okay? So let's right now do like we did last time. We're going to pray together, but what I want this to be a very focused prayer, and I ask everybody out there, to pray in your own words, depending on the situation. We're going to post something, but before this year started, I got a message about several soldiers that are critically ill, and I'm going to have Parrots. Parrots, please read what it says there. And by the way, before Parrots reads, I want people to have in mind the mitzvah of Nosei Ba'ol, emulating Hashem's compassion for people who are suffering. So have that in mind and listen to their condition, and then we're going to pray. Okay? Okay, please go ahead, Parrots.
Yeah, so these names are for 3 Chayalim from the Golani division who are still in serious and critical condition. So this request came from one of the wives of a Golani bridge commander who's requesting everybody to daven for these three soldiers. We've got Dvir Ben Pranet there, you can see it on your screen, who has a severe head condition, injury from a bullet, who's sedated and ventilated. Avihu Ben Anat, also hit by a bullet in the chest, sedated, ventilated, in critical condition. And Nir Ben Arina, also with a bullet injury to the head and in serious condition.
Okay, so I wanted you to hear this to make it easier to understand how critical it is for us to cry out right now. Okay, now Parrot's going to share something else. And people who would like to be reminded of the central mitzvah when you're saying Tehillim, my friend Dave Levine helped produce for KLM these Tehillim cards. Besides, they have a translation, but also a commentary done by Rabbi Jason Canner. But this reminds you to have them in mind the mitzvah to cry out to Hashem in times of trouble. And then it also has the chenu. So let's say this prayer together. And again, well, when I say, we'll say it together. I will say it out loud. And okay, so first of all, as we said, have in mind the mitzvah d'oraisa to cry out to Hashem in times of trouble. And also the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael, love for our fellows who are in trouble. And most importantly, what we said tonight, let's add the Kedusha of the mitzvah of Yichud Hashem, is that while we recite this, we're going to acknowledge that there's only one power that decides everything, and everything is in the Creator's hands. So we're fulfilling the mitzvah of Yichud Hashem, recognizing and declaring the unity of Hashem, kasher tziva Hashem, as Hashem commands us. Okay. Shir lamalos Sinai arim ayin yavo Ezri mi'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz al yitain lemot raglecha al yanum shomrecha hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha Yom HaShemesh lo yakecha yoreach b'layla Adonai yishmorcha mikora yishmor es nafshecha Adonai yishmor secha uve'echa me'ata v'ad olam. Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that all right. I think we'll finish with this tonight. I do have something. For those thanks to Mr. Daniel Lyons, we have an idea to help utilize our understanding of how valuable kavanah for mitzvahs is to help in this situation. And it's a sort of a important special strategy. So anybody who wants to participate in that, so if you're on the VOD, the strategy will be posted and discussed there. And if you're part of Yibnei or YouTube, please email me at Rabbi Wegbreit at gmail.com, and we'll put you onto the VOD Bli Netter. Okay, thank you, Paris.
It's שיר חדש